to the Only Male Cruz Show, the podcast. I am the only Male Cruz. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You know I want to hear from you. Copyright disclaimer regarding fair use is in full effect. The views and opinions expressed in this show, you guessed it, they're all mine. Let's go to work. Okay, welcome to the Only Male Cruz Show, the podcast. Y'all, I've been talking and the my mic was on mute. So my apologies. Thanks for pulling up. Shout out to Lizzie Mack. Or as you were to Miss Likey. I'm sorry, sweetheart. So here's what I started off saying. Happy Sunday morning. It's Sunday morning. The clock's moved forward. My sleep pattern is all off. I do want to shout out Miss Likey because yesterday I was on your show on YouTube and this music selection. I said, girl, wait a minute, what is that? Because it was bumping. And so I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and let that be my theme music for today. Shout out to Carolyn Marie. Appreciate y'all pulling up. So last night I was also over at Infamous Sylvia's channel where she is actually reading the Cardi B transcripts. Cardi B versus Tasha K transcripts. And, a lot of people were saying, well, Mel, you should have got on that when it was popping. And absolutely right. Shout out to In Living Color TV. Thanks for pulling up, sweetheart. Do some setups for me while you're in the gym listening. But you know what? I'm going to tell you, these transcripts are really revealing a lot of details. And so one thing on the show last night at on Infamous Sylvia's channel, that was really disturbing, if you really want to know the truth about it, was a part in the transcripts when Cardi B's therapist testified. Now, her name is, I think it's Linda Blake. I know it's Dr. Blake, okay? I know she got her master's degree and her PhD from Vanderbilt University, highly intelligent, a long history of experience. I mean, good, solid experience. She's also been, just to give you a little bit of her background, she has worked for the NFL. So anytime any of the NFL players get into a jam and they need some level of therapy or something along those lines, they call her and she flies out and she handles the situation. But she also works with underserved communities as well. So she's a well-rounded therapist, a doctor. And so she testified in the trial, Cardi B versus Tasha K, and they wanted her to give an overview of what Cardi B's state of mind was, what her mental health was during this time. And I'm telling you, we might have heard some reporting when the trial was going on, but when we get into these transcripts, this is crazy. It's really crazy, and it's Shame on Tasha K. That's all I can say. Shame on Tasha K. Because this is just, it's just doing too much. So anyway, this is a highly qualified therapist. So what happened is they called her in, they had her um, take the stand, and of course, since Cardi B is the plaintiff, then they, her Cardi's attorneys had the opportunity to interview her first. And I'm just going to read a little bit of some of the details just so that y'all can really get a full appreciation for what Cardi B was actually going through when all this was going on. We looked at it and it was just a click in the view for most people. You know what I'm saying? But Cardi actually had to live this thing, and it impacted her severely. So let's get into some things. So the doctor took the stand, and the first thing they did was they said, well, how do you know my client? This is Cardi's attorney in examining the therapist. Just, how do you know my client? And she goes, well, your client was referred to me by her management team. Well, when did they reach out to you, the management team? 2018. Now, Cardi has some um, has a solid management team, because not only did they initiate contact with this therapist, but they initiated contact with a highly qualified therapist. So that's a very good thing. I mean, that's some solid support. Shout out to Cardi B. Good for you, Cardi. So she goes, the doctor says, well, they reached out to me in 2018. And Cardi's attorney said, well, what'd they tell you when they reached out to you? She said, well, at the time at the time Cardi was referred, they weren't really clear what was going on. They just knew that Cardi was having some problems, and they wanted to make sure she was taken care of. So she says, they were concerned about her emotional functioning, but they didn't know what was happening, and it was a crisis, and they had asked her to come out to New York and, assess the situation. So the attorney says, well, in 2018, when in 2018 did they reach out to you? And she said, well, it was in around November 1st, because this therapist actually flew out to Manhattan, New York, to meet up with Cardi. And so she met her, and as soon as she landed, they said, well, so you got there November 1st, when did you actually meet with Cardi? She said, as soon as I landed. This therapist was in crisis mode. You heard what I said? She came to get the job done. And so as soon as she got off the plane, she went straight to the hotel where Cardi B was, to go ahead and see what she could do about the situation. So shout out to the people in the chat. Let's see. You guys be sure to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for spending this little bit of time on a good Sunday morning with me. I appreciate it. Anita Anderson said, I just can't understand how TK, girl, could be so cold and heartless. Isn't that the truth? Shout out to Taniqua McKay. Thank you so much for pulling up. Appreciate y'all. Carolyn Marie, Wonder Woman, shout out. So she goes, hey, look, I got off the plane and boom, I was there. So they asked her, they said, well, based on your education and your training and your professional experience, what did you observe in this first session with Cardi B when you were in New York? And the doctor says, well, when I first arrived and started talking to her, I was able to establish a rapport, which is a good thing. But what I observed is that she was very lethargic, had very little energy. There was fear, a lot of depressive symptoms, such as she was very tearful. And she had explained to her that she had just lost interest. She was sleeping a lot. In fact, the day that the therapist actually came to meet with Cardi B was laying in the bed, y'all. She was just laying in the bed. And she says that she was laying across the bed. And she talked about not knowing what she was going to do, not having any interest in doing anything. She'd lost her appetite. She wasn't eating. She wasn't sleeping as much as possible. They wanted to know, well, did she seem anxious? And, the doctor said, yeah, she was quite anxious. She was quite worried. And then the anxiety that I saw came out in terms of not only with what she was saying, but how she was saying it. And, we've all seen Cardi B when she's kicking it and she's live and in living color. You know what I'm saying? High energy, positive attitude. Um, but this doctor is describing her as being lethargic. And while we're going through this, put yourself in her shoes, because I know when I get depressed or I'm like, oh man, this I got a problem. I don't know how I'm gonna handle it. It will make you just lay down and go to sleep. You do feel overwhelmed. So the attorney says, well, did she seem anxious? She goes, yeah, she was quite anxious. She was quite worried. Um, the anxiety that she saw was not only in what she was saying, but how she was saying it. And she was constantly checking her phone with social media, and that she was talking about all of the negative things that was happening at the time. And so they asked her, they said, well, when you said she lost interest in doing things, could you elaborate? She said, yeah, she'd been in bed for several days. She reported that she hadn't been out of bed for several days. She didn't want to do anything. She didn't want to work. She was crying. Um, and the doctor says, like I said, she was quite tearful. Her affect was flat, meaning that there was not a lot of facial expression as she talked. She was emotionally exhausted. Um, I can just, uh. And so they asked her, they said, well, did she seem agitated? And the doctor says, yes. When we talked about certain things, she seemed quite agitated. Well, what did you understand the source of this distress? What did you understand that to be? And so the doctor says, well, she explained to me that, there had been a blogger, a Tasha K, that she didn't know, she'd never met her, that she was writing and posting lies about doing videos about her. She said that the videos were horrible in terms of the content. She talked about the lies that, such as, saying that Cardi B was doing cocaine, and lies that she had herpes and HPV. And, Cardi was devastated by the lies because she felt that the lies were going to hurt her reputation. And in hurting her reputation, she was just getting started, and I can identify with that. You got somebody lying on you, and then how can you, and you have a hard time trying to figure out how to resolve that issue short of, getting charged with assault and battery. Feel what I'm saying? So the doctor goes on to say, at that point, her music industry and she was just really beginning to take off. And she had reached out and trying to get people to help her stop the stuff that Tasha K was doing on the blogs. But, because Cardi B was really concerned and she was devastated that all that coming out was just going to kill her career. So they asked her, they said, well, when she reached out to someone and asked them to stop it, what do you mean? And the doctor says, well, she attempted to get some of the social media outlets to take the post down. Well, no one would take the post down. She said that she'd been online, she talked to people. She didn't know what to do. But people were believing the lies that were being spread about her, and the lies were being repeated. So not only was Tasha K publishing the lies, but what was happening at the time, of course, it continued. The lies were repeated by her own followers. So, and I'm presuming that, that means that Cardi B might go live or something like that. And people are like, yeah, I heard, did you this or that? You know how trolls will pull up in a chat and, try, especially with the Cardi B Nicki, you know what I'm saying? So it's anyway. So they asked her, they said, how would you describe the level of Cardi's mental distress when you observed her the weekend in New York? And that's her first time meeting with Cardi. And she goes, I was quite concerned. That's what the doctor said. I was quite concerned. If you talk about levels, if I can say a level from 1 to 10, with 1 being the best and 10 being the worst, she was definitely a 10. They said, well, Dr. Blake, what did you observe? She said, well, wait a minute, let me go back. How many sessions did you have with Cardi that weekend in New York? And the doctor told her 8 hours. And it was like in 2-hour sessions, 4 sessions broken up into 2 hours each. And they weren't all in that hotel. She says that one of them was in Harlem. And so they asked her, they said, well, what did you observe in the 3 other sessions that you had with Cardi that weekend? The doctor says, well, I observed a continuation of distress. So it wasn't like, it sounds to me like it wasn't like she's down and then she's up then she's down, and then she's up. It was a continuation of this, distressful mindset. Um, so she says, I observed a continuation of distress. She was overwhelmed, and she was emotionally overwhelmed because she felt helpless. The doctor goes on to say, I heard her feelings in terms of her expression of helplessness. She felt like she had no support. She continued to cry and continued to be very anxious, and depression remained. And for everybody that knows Cardi, I don't think I've ever even seen her online crying. I don't know if y'all seen her crying ever before on a live. Um, Shout out in the comments, because I don't think I've ever seen Cardi B cry. Um, so they actually said, well, what's your opinion of the status of her mental health at that time? The doctor says, well, at that time, I felt she was depressed. She had a lot of anxiety. I felt that her mental health, she was in a crisis, and it was not very well at all. So they said, well, what diagnosis did you make based on your sessions with Cardi while you were in New York that weekend? And the doctor said, well, that weekend, I did not make a formal diagnosis. I looked at depression and anxiety as a working diagnosis. So that's pretty much where she was going to start from. And at that time, when I went, I didn't know for sure what was going on. And she started talking about the blogger. The doctor said she was under the belief that this was going to be a temporary thing. She realized that the blogger was the source of her stress and the source of her anxiety, and that the focus of it was Tasha K. So they said, well, did you make any recommendations to Cardi about how to manage all of these emotions? And the doctor said, yeah, I made recommendations. I made 3 of them. So she recommended that given everything that she saw with the anxiety, and that the Cardi didn't have any prior history of anxiety or prior history of depression. There was no prior history of anxiety. So she said, given that that at the time of the meeting, Cardi didn't appear suicidal, that she wasn't extremely stressed, but she was just overwhelmed. So at the time, she recommended that she turn the Tasha K issues over to her management team and her legal team and let them deal with it. And then she said she suggested that she just take a break, she and her family. She said that Cardi was exhausted, take a break, try to disconnect as best as you can, from social media, so she can, so you can clear your head, Cardi, and let your management team and the legal team, let them deal with it. And then she said the third thing she recommended to Cardi was that she have some individual therapy. The doctor says that, at the time I had no reason when I left New York to believe that, if her legal team stopped the lies from being posted, that Cardi's depression and anxiety would be eliminated. It would be resolved. So they said, well, when's the next time you saw Cardi? She goes, in 2020. She said, well, how many sessions? She goes, well, they had multiple sessions in 2020. So they asked her, they said, well, did Cardi's management team reach out to you about setting up those sessions? And the doctor said, yeah. So once again, Cardi's management team is on point, taking care of their artist and treating her like a human being. She goes, well, what did the management team tell you when they reached out to you? And the doctor said, well, at that point, they again were concerned, and they needed her to see her. And she says, and I think at that point, the doctor said she thinks that even at that point, Cardi also wanted to, get into some therapy. So during those sessions in 2020, what were your observations of Cardi is what they asked the doctor. And she says, I was totally surprised. Now, bear in mind, y'all, when all this was going on, remember, all we're seeing is a little nickel and dime post on IG, a little nickel and dime post on Twitter. We see if you subscribe and watch Tasha K, you saw her on there, I wipe my head with this cease and desist. She want me to take it down. She gonna have to pay me. We were seeing those things. But once the episode was over, or we, switched to a different platform, for us, it was over for us. You know what I'm saying? But for Cardi, This was a 24/7 thing. 24/7, this woman was dealing with this anguish. So the doctor says, I was totally surprised. Her mental health status had just deteriorated. Things were much worse than they had been when I left in New York, which again was 2018. I had assumed that Tasha K was going to respond to the legal team's request to stop and desist, but that didn't happen. The posts not only continued, they had increased, and they were being repeated over and over again. So not only that Cardi was devastated, she was feeling totally hopeless and totally helpless. She was being taunted. People were calling her, instead of calling her Cardi B, they were calling her Herpes B. She was embarrassed. She was humiliated. She felt that she was bringing shame to her family. Her family was very important to her. She was really overwhelmed. She felt that all the efforts that she was making were bringing attention and shame to her family, and she didn't want that. She was also struggling in terms of her appetite. At that point, she'd lost weight. At that point, she was having headaches. At that point, she was just overall just doing what she needed to get by in terms of functioning. And the doctor says, I say that meaning that she would go out, do what she needed to do, come home, and just go back to bed. And that is a clear sign of depression. Let me look at these comments real quick. Thanks, y'all, for pulling up. Be sure to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Replay gang, leave a comment because I want to hear from you. Anita Anderson, TK is a true definition. Ooh, girl, say it. TK is a true definition of inhumane and a bully. No regard for a legal system and no regard to a federal court. Shout out to Too Persuasive, just awful, a despicable. Whoa. Too Persuasive said a despicable supervillain in real life. Girl, ain't that the truth? Or so it would appear, allegedly. I love you too, Too Persuasive. So, this is sad. And just, I think I said on Infamous Sylvia's show, I think on her show last night, if this was, like localized to just, somebody in your neighborhood, I said last night, you can get over that. You throw a little garbage in their yard while you're pulling out the driveway, and you be all right. But this lady, Cardi B, she's trying to do, movies and collabs. And, she's even trying to get on that series, that Netflix series, Joe. But she's trying to, pull herself up by the bootstraps. And to have all of this focus on her, and it's all lies. It's sad. It's hurtful. It's shameful, Tasha K. I cannot believe that this is how you're getting down. So the doctor said, yes, she was being taunted. People were calling her out of her name. She also said Cardi was struggling in terms of her appetite. So she lost weight. She was having headaches. And she was continuing to have sleep disturbances. She was sleeping as much as she could and also struggling with just being engaged. She isolated herself a lot. And they asked the doctor, they said, well, was she angry? The doctor said, very angry, very angry. And at that point, with her anger, the doctor says, I helped her process the fact that her legal team was working on issues. Cardi didn't want to sue. The doctor said she did not want to go to court. Her whole goal, Cardi's whole goal, was just to stop the lies and stop the postings. And it was at that point she had talked about having reached out to Tasha K personally to try to get her to stop because she felt like she could, get her to stop personally because they had at least one thing in common. Both of them were a mother. Both of them are mothers. But that fell on, a soulless individual. Cardi's a mother. I guess Tasha K's a mother. She had a baby, but Lord have mercy. So Cardi didn't even want to go to court. So The doctor says, and rather than stop what was going on, the information was taken. A video was apparently made, and that video mocked Cardi, and which further humiliated Cardi. And can you imagine? You know, people say, well, in situations like this, you got to be the bigger person. So for Cardi reaching out to Tasha K and being the bigger person, saying, hey, look, girl, go on and take that stuff down for real. Stop all that. Take the stuff down. And then you're gonna turn around and make a video and try to mock me because I try to be the bigger person. Now I really want to get at you. You heard? So that just was further humiliating to Cardi, according to the doctor. She says she was further embarrassed and she was devastated. She was forever explaining or denying that she, denying that she didn't have herpes, that she never used cocaine, that she never cheated on her husband. And the real concern, this was a real concern for her because she felt like her family did not deserve any of the attention. Okay? Also, there have been stories recorded that her father had abused someone. So they said, hey, doc, do you think Cardi was suicidal at that time? And the doctor says, I was about to say I was quite concerned about her mental health status. At that point, she talked about having feelings of suicide. She talked about not wanting to live, talking about that she was bringing so much shame and so much, she just couldn't go on because she could not get any reprieve. She couldn't get help from the social media platforms. She'd followed the doctor's suggestions. She followed the recommendations. She turned it over to the legal team. That wasn't working. Cardi, at that point, she didn't know which way to go. Let me look at some of these comments real quick. I got to tell you, I appreciate y'all pulling up on a good Sunday morning. So, Anita Anderson, girl, you hitting on all points. TK is truly a danger to herself. She have a cold and dark soul. TK, go on, girl. If the girl, go ahead on with the comment of the day. Taniqua said, I believe Cardi didn't want to go to court. Cardi needed to make a point because Tasha was playing in her face. Say it, Taniqua. Hot game. Yeah, shout out to Slums Radio, Shanati. Shanati says, yes, okay, so let's see. Back to this transcript. So the doctor says, yeah, she followed my suggestion. She did what the doctor told her to do. But she still didn't know which way to turn because it wasn't working. Nothing was working. So they asked her, they say, hey, doc, did you make a safety plan? She goes, yeah, I did. I was quite concerned about the possibility of suicide. I did a risk analysis where I really looked at the risk factors in terms of suicide. She didn't have a prior history. Cardi did not have a prior history of suicide, any suicidal ideations. At that point, she didn't have a plan, but she had some protective factors that the doctor said she felt were strong enough to, not, well, she says, just to do a safety plan. And the protective factors that she's referring to are the fact that Cardi has a strong faith. She believes, she prays. She told the doctor about how she prays a lot, and she was praying for this to be resolved. And the doctor says that Cardi's faith was one of those protective factors, her family, and the fact that she had a child. So she did a safety plan and with Cardi, and Cardi agreed to it. So they said, well, how are Cardi's coping skills? The doctor said Cardi's coping skills were impaired. And that's like being an impaired driver. When you think that the light is green when in fact it's red, but you're driving impaired because you're drunk. You feel what I'm saying? Which means her ability to cope might make her make a dumb decision only because you're making it out of anxiety and exhaustion, and your ability to cope with things is impaired. So she said, well, how are her coping skills impaired? Do you have serious concerns about her mental health status? The doctor said, I have very serious concerns. And I had serious concerns because I work with a lot of celebrities and entertainers as well as just other people, regular people. But I also knew that in the back of my mind, I also know that suicide is the second leading cause of death in Cardi's age range. And with suicide being the second leading cause of death, the doctor said she had to consider the risk factors in terms of public and what happens is when she says when we think about depression and suicide, a lot of times we don't look at health issues as the same as in physical health. Now, here's where the doctor really showed her level of expertise, her level of insight, and her level of intellect. Um, the doctor said this. She goes, a lot of times we don't look at health issues as the same as in physical health. And I couldn't help thinking about people not knowing and not understanding, like what happened to Robin Williams, which, the comedian, or Kate Spade, or even Anthony Bourdain. And if you guys recall, all three of those people committed suicide, and it was a shock, and nobody knew. Nobody knew that, that was even on their mind. And this is what the doctor, when she's interacting with Cardi, she's like, okay, now, based on her assessment, this is pretty deep. And so the doctor said, one of the things that when I say people underestimate, she was real concerned because in physical health, what happens is, the doctor gave this example. She said, if someone walked into this courtroom right now and was stabbed in the chest, we would all be horrified. We would see the blood. We would see them cringe. We would see the pain. We may even hear them scream. That person, people would probably go into action to help that person. They would go into action. Somebody would try to help the person. I'm sure they would call 911. Everybody would get involved. We would see the bleed outwardly. In mental health, however, the wound and the stab wound is there, but the stab wound and the bleeding is all internal. So she bleeds as in mental health, and it's just they bleed internally. So you don't see the blood. Therefore, nobody comes to help. Nobody talks about it a lot of times, and that person bleeds continuously internally. And the doctor says, in Cardi's case, if I had to look at that analogy, every post, every lie, everything was like a constant stab. And she was stabbed over and over again. Trying to get it to stop made it worse because she was stabbed again. And the blood, the bleeding, we just didn't see it, but it was internal. So when I spoke with her, the doctor said when she spoke with Cardi, she says, I was quite concerned. And so they asked the doctor, they said, well, based on your experience and training and education, what was your diagnosis of my client at that time? She said, major depressive disorder and anxiety disorder. This is deep, y'all. This is deep, especially if you're a Cardi fan. Anita Anderson, it's truly sad when someone set out to destroy you and they have absolutely no connection to you. Girl, Anita, girl, you winning all the prizes today. Girl, say that. Anita said TK admitted in court that she wasn't going to take videos down unless a white man told her to. $1 million lawsuit didn't wake her up. She need to be She need to be canceled on all social media platforms. Anita, girl, you speaking. Anita, are you a preacher? Because you preaching today, girl. You bring a church up in here today. Too Persuasive said, absolutely. So many people don't understand there might be anguish and agony behind someone's smile. Isn't that the truth? And it's sad. And again, all this stuff is going on, y'all. And, Oh, we only saw it in terms of, oh, let me go on IG real quick. Oh, here go Tasha K being, a clown, allegedly. So it didn't hit us like it hit Cardi. So they said, well, what's your diagnosis of decline of Cardi at the time? It was major depressive disorder and anxiety disorder. In your opinion, they asked her, they said, how did Cardi's mental health state in 2018 compare to 2020? The doctor said her mental status had definitely deteriorated. Her coping skills were definitely impaired. She felt helpless. She felt hopeless. And the doctor says, as I mentioned, she had thoughts of suicide. And when I looked at, doctor says, looking at a rating scale, as I mentioned, when I saw her in New York, she was at a 10, with 10 being the worst. But when I saw her in 2020, she was off the scale. Straight up off the charts. And it was way beyond a 10. And the doctor says she spent time talking to her and trying to look at her coping skills. They asked the doctor, they said, did you have any therapy sessions with Cardi in 2021? Doctor said, yeah, I did. How would you describe Cardi's mental state during your sessions in 2021? The doc said she continued to struggle. Cardi continued to struggle and suffer a depression. She was extremely sad that nothing had changed. She felt extremely helpless, that again, she'd made repeated efforts. She had done what the doctor had asked her to do. The doc said she had her legal team working and nothing had changed. And she was continuing to bleed internally. And at that point, the doctor said, I felt like she was hemorrhaging. Y'all see how that music just went silent? I don't know if you can. Lord have mercy. And until last night, I never even heard of the concept of internal bleeding, but that is so well described. And this went on for at least 18, 19, 21, 2, 3 years. I'm horrible at math, y'all. I got to write it down. But it went on too long. How about that? It went on way too long. Let me see. I'm checking the comments. Yes, too persuasive, girl. Too persuasive. Said, yep. It went silent right on time. Ain't that it, girl? I don't know, y'all. What do y'all think? Listen, I'm open to opening up this panel this Sunday morning because, listen, y'all know, for most of y'all that know me, y'all know I was just in school and I graduated magna cum laude. And I think 4 or 5 months later, then I'm back in school. And in what I'm doing now, we're doing a lot of research. And I'm running across so much research about Black women and the emotional and mental trauma and the physical exhaustion and mental exhaustion that we deal with. This ain't no joke. And to know that, and listen, y'all see this artwork up here? Y'all see this artwork? I picked these pictures on purpose. Y'all see that picture of Tasha K on there? I'm sorry, y'all. This is just ridiculous. I don't understand how people, shout out to I'm Just. I don't understand how people are still supporting Tasha K at this point. And I'm not trying to lead cancel Tasha K, because the Lord could lead that better than I could. But I really do not understand. How are y'all still supporting somebody like this? And then, on top of that, now, Tasha K was in the courtroom when this testimony was being given by this doctor. And for this case to have ended, and then there's still no humility. Okay, you don't want to say sorry? Okay, everybody can't say sorry. It's helpful if you can learn to say sorry. And those who can't say sorry, I'm sorry for you. But, just accept it and move on. Some people just can't say sorry. Okay, but Can you at least curb your behavior? Are you not willing to do that either? My goodness, y'all, I'm about to drop this link. And anybody that wants to come up, I would love for you to come up because, like I was saying before I went off into this tangent, um, um, Black women suffer so much internally, and emotionally. And, and we're strong. We're strong. And, you know, people think because we're strong, and there are studies to back this up. People think because we're strong that, the level of trauma and BS that we go through is okay. You know what I'm saying? Well, they good, they strong, they got it. But why do we gotta always be strong? Because you're a weak-minded person, and the only way you can feel equal or feel reasonable about yourself is dogging somebody else out, trying to make a fool out of someone else. Shout out to Lysandra Gillett. Gang, gang. We all we got. Yeah. So the link it's in the chat, y'all. Somebody pull up if y'all want to talk about this because I'm open. Y'all know I like to hear what you have to say about it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Let me see. Here go Wonder Woman. I'm sure wish you would pull up here, girl. You always have some insightful commentary. Wonder Woman said they need to remove Cardi B from it and think, what if, oh my goodness, Wonder Woman. And think, what if this was my daughter going through cyberbullying and harassment? Maybe they wouldn't support that blogger lady. See what I'm saying? Shout out to Wonder Woman. I'm just, you in the show, girl. And you know what, y'all? All this time, hold on here. All this time, I had not realized that, I don't know what's going on with my, are you there? I'm
here.
What's up, girl? Welcome.
Hey, I was just thinking about this. And you talking about school. I just finished the quiz.
Okay. See, there we go.
My midterm, girl.
Yeah.
And
I didn't have that. I didn't have that thumbnail off of there, y'all. I'm sorry. This has bothered me, y'all. So my bad. So you say you just finished your midterm, and so now what happened, girl?
I was thinking about this the other day, and because I was thinking about this whole Tasha K situation and how she likes to say, "Oh, this is they're trying to go up against Black women. This is a because I'm Black."
Right.
And I thought about it and think like this: if Cardi B was a white woman, they would have silenced Tasha K a long time ago.
The machine would have silenced Tasha K if Cardi were white
or Jewish.
Thank you.
So
absolutely.
It's not. Because at first I was thinking about, because I love my people, and I was thinking about it, and first of all, I don't think that we should always support our people even if they're wrong. Now, I do believe that we should, if we do support somebody and they are wrong, we should tell them you're wrong. That's part of supporting someone, to say, well, I don't agree with you. I love you to death, but I don't agree with you. And a lot of times if someone wants to be a better person, or if somebody actually does have compassion, they'll take that into consideration.
Absolutely. And you made a key point. You took the words out of my mouth, because that's absolutely right. If I support you, then real support is me telling you, hey, you're messing up right there. Stop that. Stop doing that. Yeah. And then if you say, well, what you mean? Well, stop it for what? Why? I support you by telling you about yourself.
Yeah. I have made the change to surround myself by people that I believe that if I'm messing up, they're going to tell me. But even online, I have made the decision to surround myself by people that if I'm doing something and I'm going like, I'm just, girl, what the F is you doing?
Right. Because if you're my friend and you're not going to do that for me, I don't want you around me.
Yeah.
And that's not me saying that I want you to come to me and call me all kind of B words and embellish. Yeah, girl, you are so, nobody's ever did anything that rotten in nail. No, look, keep it 100, but don't embellish. But tell me if I'm doing something wrong and you care about me and you're my friend, holla at me, or I don't need you around me.
Yeah. Like we all have each other's DMs.
Right.
And we could DM each other, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it's like, me as a person, I want to be around people that's going to hit me up and say, yeah, you messing up. And me, I'm going to say, well, what did I do? And how do you think I can change that?
Well, let me, since you're up here, Jess, and I appreciate you pulling up. So back to this comment that Anita Anderson made. It's truly sad when someone sets out to destroy you and they have absolutely no connection to you. What are your thoughts about that? How do you fix something like that, in your opinion?
You don't. People are going to, especially if someone has no connection to you, they're going to try. They don't care. If they're out to destroy you, that is what they're going to try to do. And they have no connection to you, I honestly believe Tasha K has no empathy. And I've watched her a few times because I love behavior, girl. That is my thing.
I know it.
And I love behavior modification and trying to help people become the best them.
Right.
And Tasha's like a case study to me. And she has been through so much trauma in her past life, and she has so many enablers and still have enablers around her, to the point where I don't think that she can or will or want to be a better person. She is who she is and what she is. So the best thing to do, if someone is trying to destroy you, and if someone is to the point where she is, get the heck away from them. Just go.
Well, and I wonder at this point, I don't even think that it's enablers that are around her at this point. I think these are flunkies. These are flunkies, because a flunky, an enabler, is going to say, hey, yeah, and do this, and by the way, do that. Oh, you're not wrong for that. A flunky is one who's going to say, okay, yes, ma'am, I'll do it. I'll do it right now. Anything else you want me to do? A flunky is going to have ideas, because they know that, this is what you want out of them. So they're going to offer you flunkies. I mean, they're going to offer you, hey, we can do this. Will that make you pleased with me? I don't think it's enablers at this point. I think it's flunkies around this girl.
I believe Shaq is an enabler. I do believe he's an enabler. I mean, look at the transcripts of the court hearing. He knows that she's wrong, and he eggs it on every day. He's back there, smile. I don't have.
But is he? Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's okay. I don't have her little app thing, but I do believe that he enables her. I believe he enables her, and then when it came down to it, it was just at the court hearing, it was like, look, she is. I can't stop her. Yeah, you can, sir. You can. And if you notice, she got rid of everybody around her who would tell her when things aren't right. She got rid of Armand, she got rid of Candace, any and everybody who kind of challenged her messed up warped way of thinking. And they think it was because of over interviews, but honestly it wasn't. She just used that as an excuse.
And that's what makes me think that they weren't flunkies. They wouldn't do the flunky. Oh, snap easy. Wife number 52,079,900, Sean David Way wife, Mod Gang wife. Welcome to Persuasive. Thanks for pulling up on a good Sunday morning. Appreciate you.
Hey, sis.
How you doing, too? Girl, we can't hear you.
I think you're muted, sis.
While she's figuring that out, one woman said this entire case has just emboldened Tasha.
Can you
It
hear me now?
seems, yes, we can too. It seems it has gotten
Hold
more,
on.
okay, it seems it's gotten more satisfaction for the publicity she's receiving, so she doesn't care about anyone's feelings. Word, word. But see, that's what I'm saying. Back to your point, Jess, that's why I think it's not enablers. It's people that she wants them to do what she wants them to do. And if you don't do what I want you to do, I have no use for you, flunky. Derek C. Williams. Hey,
Right.
Derek said Sunday afternoon, clean in late to the party, but greetings to the only male Cruz. A quick pop in to say hello. Listen to you live on YouTube from Philly. Shout out. Thank you, Derek. Thanks for pulling up.
Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you too. We sure can hear you too. You got all the, what's your thoughts, girl?
I did want to say good morning to the two beautiful queens on the panel. First off, good morning to all the chats and the moderators. My thing is, this is beyond narcissism. It is some kind of a mental issue. This lady is delusional. Something is absolutely wrong, and she still hasn't quit. From what I've seen, she's still saying things. That I don't blame Cardi for taking her back to court.
What did y'all think about the analogy that this? Because I was floored by that. That kept me up all night. I ain't gonna lie. That kept me up all night when they read that on them transcripts. And at the time they read it, I was up there playing the role of the judge. And I just had to keep going along before my part came in to say, but it floored me, y'all. I've never seen that or heard an analogy like that. But it is so appropriate. What did you think about that?
Definitely. It's absolutely appropriate. They're not wrong, and I don't understand. Like, this lady thumbs her nose at the law. I don't know how she's still able to get on camera anywhere. I don't see how she has followers. I don't see how people condone these actions. I don't know what's happening to the world.
Right. Well, and I think too, it's a lot because nobody's speaking up. Nobody says anything about it. And I've seen it, on her community tab where the people have gone in there under one of Tasha's posts and be like, you rock, queen, and yeah, girl, and we praying for you, and and okay, cool. If you're praying for it, fine. But what is the prayer?
Look, if Tasha views this as winning, what's gonna happen when other big name people come after her? Because it's not over. They're coming after her. How much worse can it get?
She better hope Jason Lee don't, because she really ran that man's name through the mud.
Well, she just got the guy from one of the guys from Boys to Men, didn't she? It's some stuff going on.
Well, yeah, I know she talked to his side piece, but shout out to Lizzie Mack, girl. Thanks for pulling up. Love you. So was there a response after the side piece went on there and interviewed?
I'm not sure, but look, he's old school. Let me tell you something. He's old school. This is an old school artist, a old school Grammy winner. They move in silence.
Yeah, that's true.
So if he is gonna make a suit against her, it's not gonna be all in the social media, all in the blogs. She's not gonna get a fucking warning.
She's just gonna get hit with that.
She's gonna get hit. She's gonna get hard.
The thing with her is, like, when she does those interviews, she has the other people say things about, it's like, oh, I just gave her a platform. But when she does things to like Armand, and like she did with Cardi, and she did with the dude that she said had dirty blood, and she she did with Jason. She actually came out her mouth and slandered those people, and I don't know why she feels that running to her app makes her safe, because that's still slandering somebody. And then on top of that, you have to pay to go to her app, so you're getting money off of slandering these people. So that's dangerous. That's really
absolutely.
Huh?
I said you're absolutely correct on that one.
I don't know why she feels like, okay, you go to your app, yeah, that means that YouTube, they cut you, you still make money. But one of the things that Cardi was saying is she's making money slandering.
Right.
And
Well,
so now, go
and
ahead.
bringing shame and embarrassment on, on her family, on Cardi. Mods, get this one. Get that person right there. Who that is? But you're making money on that. And Cardi, she's got that beautiful baby girl culture.
Oh yeah, she
Just
is
had
adorable.
the baby boy. But it speaks volumes again, where Cardi said, the doctor said Cardi didn't even want to go to court. She didn't want to go to court. And so, before the transcripts came out, that was hearsay. It was all on the YouTube streets. Well, they said Cardi said she didn't want to go to court, but it's in the transcripts. Cardi did not want to do this. She just wanted it to stop. She wasn't trying to come after nobody. She wasn't trying, because, Tasha, I believe, she's not comfortable with this. You understand what I mean? Because it's not working in her favor, but she has to put on, allegedly, a persona that, this don't bother me, y'all. This how I roll, and I'm all good, and I ain't got it. So now what? But this is bothering you because you didn't win. You didn't win this case. And the only people that are believing you are those that just don't want to see reality at this point, because it's out exactly what you did and how many attempts that people made to get you to stop doing this. And then it's clear now the level of nuisance that she was to Cardi B.
I think a lot of people are around just to see the train wreck.
Mm.
I don't think as many people support her as she think they do. You got to understand that a lot of hurt people gravitate to hurt people, and they're not doing it because they like you. And so a lot of the people I think that are around her and that are supporting her, they're lifting her up because the higher you are, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. And they really want to see that fall.
Let's see what Anita Anderson said. She admitted that she ain't got no money. That's because she moved it, hid it. I hope Cardi get all that she is entitled to. And they said last night too that I think April 1st they're going back to court on the injunction that Cardi's team had filed on Tasha K. Because at the time it was filed, the videos were still up. There was still public access to them in one way or the other. Derek Williams said, I'm sure the Derek Jackson guy and others that the Tasha K lady has exposed are gloating now that she is under the gun. A classic case of karma. Oh, snap. Derek, see, yeah, they probably are. They probably are gloating. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just a sad situation, and mental health ain't no joke. And the doctor made it clear that Cardi's age range, that's where those the highest levels of where suicide occurs.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just if we could just find some empathy somewhere, and put ourselves in the other person's shoes. How would we feel if we were Cardi and all this was going on? And then how do the other people who don't have the profile that Cardi has, but they're going through something just as similar?
The thing with Tasha K, and I'm about to get into my conspiracy bag, sis.
Here we go. Here we go. On a Sunday morning.
On a Sunday morning. But
that's how she roll.
I got to get my conspiracy bag. Amen. I had spoke about Tasha K a while ago, and when it came to conspiracy, and it was really weird that she mentioned the machine, because a long time ago I had already figured that she was part of it. I don't know if you guys remember this or not. or know this, but in order to get into Hollywood and move to the next level, you got to participate in certain things. And I don't know if you guys remember that time she went on a quote unquote vacation with her husband, and they did a live, and it was her and another couple in a house, and it looked real weird and all like.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Oh, that was a long time ago. And so I had took that as part of her initiation. And ever since then, she has started talking about connections that she's had with people in the industry. And she's been literally an attack dog. She's been the black attack dog for black people. I mean on black people. Like, for instance, R. Kelly, like, why is she not locked up for using those that information? That information.
She was supposed to be in hot water with the feds for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think with that is that that's to be determined.
That's why she hired Olga.
Federal cases take time.
And I think
federal cases do take a lot of time.
And I think that is specific to the Chicago action, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
And then after that, when it came down to Jaguar Wright, she was literally, she did what she did to Jaguar Wright to protect the quote unquote machine. If you remember, she said she got a call from Alicia Keys. And then she said, well, I'm not friends with Alicia Keys. I'm friends with, what is it, her mother-in-law? So you're friends with Swiss Beats' mom? When did you become friends with Swiss Beats' mom, sis?
See, and I don't know, because I just, there was, I watched Tasha for a minute. I was subscribed to her. But I quit watching her, even before I ran up on Armand Wiggins. Because I was like, and I'm glad I didn't allow any additional influence of her to be a part of my life. Because she's appears to be out of control, especially after losing this court case very publicly, and then having no level of humility. Shout out to Island Browning. Link is in the chat, y'all. If y'all want to pull up, you're welcome on this Sunday morning. Pull up. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Derek Williams said, please, plane had trouble. I heard. Ooh, Derek, you own it. Derek said, plane had trouble. I heard recently. I'm told that if you do wrong to people, wrong will come to you.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
Absolutely right.
No, Storm wasn't there, but I also find it weird how she gets these mentees and then brings them in her house with her kids. At the time, maybe she just had the daughter.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna bring no man I don't know in my house. And I was looking. I had looked at, because I do be sneak peeking. I looked at her live yesterday when I was making dinner. And Chelsea started talking, and she said, Chelsea, don't sit on my pillow. We're not going to swap juices this time. What?
Allegedly, that's what you heard?
It ain't allegedly, sis.
In the show, you guessed that they're all mine except those of the guests on the panel. They had a home.
Oh yeah, the views are mine.
Mel Cruz.
The views are solely I'm Justin, not of Mel Cruz.
Yeah, but go on and keep on talking.
But that's what she said that it's still up, and she literally told Chelsea, we're not swapping juices today. And you know where my mind went. What do you mean today? When do y'all swap juices? And why? Like,
right. And you know maybe she was saying that.
She definitely did that on purpose too.
Yeah, I was just ready to say that too. I was just ready to say
definitely did that on purpose.
trying to be that shock jock, as Lizzie had mentioned earlier. Yeah.
And so I don't trust her. And when she started with that whole machine thing, I was like, yeah, she's out of pocket.
Exactly. Welcome, Derek C. Williams. How you doing this morning? Thanks for pulling up. Hello, Tom.
Hey, Derek.
Pulling up.
Hey, Derek.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Shout out and respect to Mel Cruz. How are you, young lady?
I'm super duper. And how are you doing? Are you doing fine based on the comments you've been putting in here? You are spot on.
Well, yeah. I would just say it's just like I put in the chat, it's just a classic case of karma. And to give my man a salute to the other panelists. I became aware of Tasha K through this lady by the name of the Plainest Jane, and they just was on fire this time last year. But I'm not subscribed to them. It's just like you be scrolling through YouTube and you see these people. Right. But I'll be 55 in May, and I just want to say, I know this is all the rage. Everybody's with the tea, who exposing this, that, and the third. Right. But it's high school stuff. And so for these people over 40 and 50 getting into all these things, exposing people and stuff like that, it's only a matter of time before it gets you. So let's message of the topic. Just leave that stuff alone. That doesn't help the Black community at all. It makes us look bad, but yet and still we want to say we're a progressive and mature people in this and that. Not based off our social media. Come on. Right. So that's pretty much all I want to say. But I know that the tea will outlive me. I understand that. My daughter is 17 and she with that stuff. And I say, Damaris, it's going to get you. Yeah. It's going to get you. I'm telling you.
Now, you said your birthday's in May. May what?
May 26th.
Okay. Mine's May 18th.
Yeah, Team Gemini over here. I know you are
Taurus, baby.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Again, I'm not a long. I'm sorry?
I said, no, I appreciate you pulling up just to share that bit of perspective, because I agree with you totally.
Yeah, I try not to be a long-winded type person. Just get in, say my thought, and step aside. So thank you for having me up. You'll see me around YouTube showing up, all right?
Appreciate it. Thank you again.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all take care.
All right.
You too. Thank you.
You too, King. Stay blessed.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think Derek makes a really good point, because our social media is not really reflecting what really our standards are. We claim we have these standards, but you really can't tell it in some places. I just feel like there's a fine line between entertainment and just being ratchet, for lack of a better term. What do you have to?
There's always such a thing as going too damn far. She's gone too far a long time ago, and she just won't stop. That's what posed my question. What's going to happen when the bigger people come after her? Somebody's going to have to absolutely shut her down.
And I want to repeat for the people that are just pulling up. So the therapist that testified, y'all, she described what Cardi was going through as internal bleeding. And she said, when somebody gets stabbed or something of that nature, you get to see the wound, you see the blood, you can hear they're probably going to scream out in pain. You're going to know they're in pain. But in mental health, those wounds are internal, and the blood is internal. They're bleeding internally. And when Cardi's attorney asked the doctor, they said, well, you saw her in 2018 and you were still having therapy with her in 2021. What was your assessment from then to now? The woman said she was hemorrhaging. Meaning you went from internal bleeding to, y'all seen these doctor shows and they say, she's hemorrhaging.
Oh, hemorrhaging can kill you, yeah.
It's the end. It's the end. And so, thank God that the court date happened when it did. And thank God that it turned out the way it did. Thank God that this jury wasn't like the R. Kelly jury, who were biased and all this and that in 2/3. These people actually, but see, Cardi's attorney was super duper awesome. And you can tell that in these transcripts. Her attorney was not no joke. And so I'm just happy. She had a quality attorney. Her management company is clearly looking out for their artists, or they're certainly looking out for Cardi B, which is good. But this has to stop. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not quite sure why. What's it going to take for Tasha to stop? What do y'all think?
She's not going to stop. All right, let me give you an example.
The only way.
Go ahead.
What'd you say, sis? Oh, let me
go ahead.
Let me give y'all an example. Cardi B got on a stand, right? She crying. She
Mm.
was crying, like at one point they said uncontrollably crying about how hurt this was to her. And that had no effect on Tasha. Think about, and after she saw her crying, she still said, I'm not going to stop. Think about that. Think about, put yourself in Tasha's position, because I've done this. And you was messing with somebody that you feel got money and can afford to, you can afford to get a psychiatrist, and you see what you did affects them face to face in the same room. You see it, and they're really hurt.
Right.
That's going to affect you as a person, as a woman, as a mother. That's going to affect you. Even if you don't like the person, seeing them hurt and crying and knowing you caused that pain is going to affect you. It takes a really sick person to not care after that. And that's the type of person we're dealing with Tasha K. So please don't expect nothing better out of her.
A heartless individual. I feel like the only thing that's going to stop her is somebody actually stopping her. Well, she's got to be banned everywhere.
Yeah. I think too that, with what the, hold up. Phyllis Gibson, shout out to, just read that comment for me. Phyllis Gibson, girl, you get 5
is
stars,
the devil.
You get 5 stars this Sunday morning, Phyllis. Ain't that it? It's something, but I feel like, this time around when they go back to court based on the injunction that was filed, the judge is not, I think the judge is going to implement some level of sanction or penalty or something, because you're not going to keep playing in the face of the judiciary. You feel me?
Definitely not.
Lizzie Mack said, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
Lizzie Mack said Tasha's husband is a wimp for real. No, Lizzie, I believe Tasha's husband is just as sick and evil as she is. Because think about it. Even if you are a wimp, could you really be with someone that does not have that? She got on her little channel and she did a video. I seen clippets from somebody else's thing, so I don't know the whole video, saying how she talks about her friends was mad at her because she said something about her on her channel, or it was something that her friends mad about her, and she was like, I don't care. I even talk about everybody. I talk about my mom, I talk about my dad, and they're mad at me. I talk about Shaq.
I saw that.
You know what I'm saying? So he's not a wimp.
But you're justifying. That was just justification for bad behavior.
Yeah.
But just listen. I truly see your point of view, and maybe the husband is sitting on the fence, because that seems like flunky action to me. To me.
You think he's scared of her?
I don't know.
Yeah. She's got something over him, or that's just his. A lot of people are like that. Some men rather not be the dominant person, so you never really know.
And hey, maybe he loves her, maybe it's true love. I don't know. I'll you know what I'm saying? Maybe this is the girl of his dreams or something, and that's his.
I'ma shut up, Mel. Why you do me like that?
I'm just saying, I don't know, but I just, it's just a whole sad situation. That's how I see it. It's a sad situation. I'm glad Cardi has gotten some good people around her, and
me too.
And being on top of this, being on top of what's going to happen on April 1st, just to find out, is there going to be any penalty? Because I don't know how Tasha went on to the Fox talk show or whatever. And told the people and made it a joke, whatever show it was on social media. And it's like, I ain't got it.
She's selling merch.
That's what
she's selling. I ain't got it merch.
And I really just can't stop to think that if Cardi B was a white woman, you know what I'm saying, they would not have let this gone this far.
Right.
And so
definitely.
I can't. You look what they did to Whoopi.
Right.
So I can't get behind her. They're trying to shut a black woman down thing. I can't get behind. Yeah, Nick Cannon too. I can't get behind that. She's wrong. This is wrong, and it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, and it really is an excuse to say, that you're trying to support black women because, and somebody did say before, and Johnson could have been on a panel that we were on together where somebody said, the black women that are supporting Tasha K are just like Tasha K, and that's why they support her. So maybe that's what it is. It's a group of, narcissistic, allegedly individuals who, that's how they get down. So, but it's ridiculous to me, and that's where that fine line comes in, because it's this blanket excuse of, black women. Black women don't get a pass, y'all. We don't get a pass. We can't run around here and say we should get caviar because we worth it, but our behavior, our actions don't show that we're worth it.
You better tell that.
Come on.
You ain't lying.
You're not right. And the people around her ain't good either. They use her, like a lot of them. If they're not using her, it's a really crazy situation, and she's going to fall.
What's crazy is there are people. I really think there are people that are hanging on every word and believing every little lie that comes out of her mouth. They just believe in everything she says. Oh, because she hasn't been taken down yet. That's their sole reasoning for that.
Right is right and wrong is wrong, and there's no way. Let's say a person. Hey, Sean. Let's say a person in general.
Hi.
You can't. That is literally what she's doing to Cardi. Is literally cyber bullying.
Yes, it is.
She is, and she's poking at her on purpose after she watched this woman cry her heart out.
Right.
Well, there was also, and Sean David Way, you're in the chat, and the link is in there, and you're welcome to come up.
We would love to hear what you gotta say.
So the door is always open for you, Sean David Way. Shout out to Baby Shay. Alan Browning said there has to be y'all, folks is alert on a good Sunday morning. Alan Browning said there has to be a chemical imbalance or something, because Tasha K is too obsessed behind trying to
some type of disorder going on here.
A lot of people don't understand when we talk about mental health that not all mental health is good people. Like, you have people with mental health that's psychopaths, sociopaths. You have narcissists. You have bad mental health. Right. And Tasha K, her trauma and the things that she dealt with, she internalized that and is turning into the predator. She's a really
uncontrolled predator.
She's very, and she has no empathy. Her empathy, and you know what? The fact that she has no empathy makes her good for entertainment purposes. But that does not mean she's a good person. And people need to understand. Makes her a
glorified bully.
Oh, she's terrible. That's so bad. Yeah. It's so bad.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm gonna drop this link one more good time in case anybody else wants to pop up. They done fast forwarded the clocks on our AZZ this morning.
And I thought I woke up late, y'all.
I was like, oh, you got to be kidding. But I couldn't get no sleep after listening and helping read those transcripts last night. It's just, I can just imagine what Cardi B had to deal with. Plus, not only was this the problem that she was dealing with since 2018, but also normal everyday life things. You know what I mean? Because at some point, one of her houses got flooded out in ATL, and just everyday challenges in life. So not only having that, but also dealing with this. Oh my goodness.
And the worst part of this is that she had to deal with it while she was pregnant, and afterwards. And I don't know if anybody has kids. I got 5.
Mm-hmm.
And postpartum depression in itself is real bad. It's real bad.
She had to deal with this during 2 pregnancies. That's how long this has been happening.
Exactly.
And for her to have to deal with her postpartum depression and then deal with Tasha on top, and oh my gosh, and then she came to Tasha as a woman and was like, please stop. And Tasha laughed. She laughed and made fun. Like, we're dealing with someone who's evil. She has no empathy. And she says she has a therapist. I don't know what her therapist is doing.
Well, it can't be the therapist that Cardi B has, but she might do well if she did have Cardi B's therapist.
You know what just dawned on me? Speaking of energy and bad energy and her narcissism, and she fed that to her baby because she was pregnant too and had a baby, and she thrived off of that energy while pregnant. She didn't have one stress, one worry, one nothing. She just thrived off of all that negativity while pregnant. She doesn't even have the mind of a mother to try to protect her child like that.
Two making a solid point on them.
Yeah,
and that's true. I mean, I can see that because the baby feels everything you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Her therapist isn't doing a day. No, she's not. She's not.
Baby Shay. Alan Browning says, sometimes I wish Cardi took a break from social media for herself, but her fans love to hear from her when she comes online. So it's a catch-22. Yeah, because even the therapist, when I was reading some of that testimony, even the therapist said she had suggested and recommended that Cardi step away for a minute. Her and the family just go somewhere and chill and let the management company and the legal team handle it. And she tried to do that too. But, and so again, she's thinking, okay, I'm trying to keep my career together. If I stay off social media and then this person is still over here doing this clicks and views stuff, and if I don't respond, then what? And speaking of that, at some point in the transcripts, Tasha's attorney, the one that Armand discovered that Tasha had given a 1 star on the Yelp rating, had said, well, you know what? If you wouldn't have responded to one of her attorneys, it may not have been Olga, but somebody on her team, and said, if you wouldn't have responded to the negative posts that she was making, then it wouldn't have gotten any traction. So I'm just now supposed to let people just slang mud and don't try to wipe none of it off? That's what y'all suggesting? So
I think it would have still gained the same type of traction without her responding. Tasha was already getting a certain number of views. People watch YouTube on a daily basis. There's so many people. YouTube is their TV. They sit here, they're looking for the mess. People go out looking for the mess, but it's gone too far. You could drive your mess train as far as you want to drive your mess train. You get what I'm saying? You be the conductor of your own thing. But when you see that you about to drive your own train off a cliff with all them people on it, shouldn't you pull a cord?
Thank you. Don't you want to live? Shout out to Nosy Rosie Grand. Hey, Nosy, thanks for pulling up, sweet love. At the Only Male Cruz and chat. Good afternoon. Hope all is well. And same to you on a good Sunday afternoon, girl. So yeah, y'all be sure to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Replay gang, you know what to do. Leave a comment because I want to hear from you. So y'all, I guess we can go ahead and get it wrapped up. Ladies, I appreciate y'all pulling up to the panel and sharing your insight, your perspectives.
Thank you, Mel Cruz, for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I got you. Anytime, sis. Anytime I'm free, I'm up here with you.
I appreciate it. Let me see. Phyllis Gibson said, I think Nicki Minaj is paying Tasha.
I don't think she paid her. I think that she paid her with attention. And then when everything blew up, she kind of distanced herself. And I think that's why Tasha K started saying that Nicki Minaj had ghostwriter.
So, yeah.
Well, all you have to do is pay a narcissist attention. That's all you got to pay him.
Well, we're definitely going to find out. We're going to find out. And I thank all y'all for pulling up. So that's it. That is the podcast. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment because I do want to hear from you. I'm trying to set this up, y'all. Hold on. I do want to thank I'm Jess and Too Persuasive for pulling up. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Mel Cruz.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So until next time, y'all, we will see ya when we see ya. Welcome to the Only Mel Cruz Show, the podcast. I am the only Mel Cruz. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You know I want to hear from you. Copyright disclaimer regarding fair use is in full effect. The views and opinions expressed in this show, you guessed it, they're all mine. Let's go to work.